Welcome to the Pandasaurus Games GenCon online event. Hey there, it's Theo from the YouTube channel Geeky Gamer Guy. We've got a ton of games to cover over the next hour, so we better get started. Let's kick things off with some new hotness, the GenCon release Ctrl.
Hey everyone, welcome to one of many interviews that we will be having during GenCon with Pandasaurus. If you don't know me already, my name is Mandy Hutchinson, and I do some work with the Dice Tower and my own channel, To Die For Games. But today, with Pandasaurus, I have with me today...
My name is Julio Nazario. I'm the designer of Ctrl.
So, question for you. I saw Ctrl. It is Ctrl, right? Like as in like the control button on your keyboard.
Yeah,
For some reason, a word game came to mind. That is obviously, maybe I'm 100% wrong. So this is not one that I have yet. I haven't played, so I'm excited for you to tell me about it. So let's start from the beginning. Ctrl. What is that about? How did we get there? Answer all the questions.
Sounds good. So Ctrl is it's an area control game of three-dimensional perspectives.
Okay.
So in this game, and I have my little, you can see
yes,
the little cubes that you're using. So basically, the board in this game is a cube.
Okay.
And players are using their smaller cubes of their color, and basically using what's called a wrapping mechanism of you're just placing three cubes in a line.
Right.
However, a line when it's on top of a plane, it's just a line. But when you go on a three-dimensional perspective, it turns angles.
Right.
So that's why the slogan is, race to control every angle. Because as in when you make a line, you go over to other sides of the cube, and basically you're trying to control all of those sides. Because essentially, at the end of the game, you're going to be scoring each side of the cube, including the top part, based on how your color is looking at. So when you go over other people's cubes, from one perspective, you may be blocking them.
Right.
But when you look from another one, their color may still be showing.
Oh, so perspective plays a definite role in this game. Okay, I didn't even think that at all. Now, how I noticed the colors you've chosen. Is there a specific reason for these colors, or?
Well, the Pandasaurus Games has done a fantastic job when it comes to production on this one, and they chose these specific colors because of their colorblind friendliness of them. And as you can see, they're very chunky cubes, so it has a very good tactile element to them. And just all the work they put into making sure that these cubes, because essentially they're connectable cubes. Mm-hmm. So ultimately, at the end of the game, you're going to have this structure that's going to be very different every single game.
Right.
But these cubes have to be stick together. And they definitely did a good job with that.
What is the size of the cubes? Are they like Lego size, or?
So the big cube that you're controlling is about the size of a Rubik's Cube.
Oh, okay, so it's big.
Well, that's the board, right?
Okay.
So it starts that small,
right? And
then the smaller cubes are about 3/4 of an inch, by 3/4 of an inch. So almost an inch of a square inch of a cube. So we're talking about each player has about 22 cubes. Mm-hmm. And throughout the game is 2 to 4 players, and it plays about 20 minutes.
Okay.
And throughout the game, you may end up with something that's about maybe less than a foot, but in all different directions. So it's definitely something cool to see.
All right, that's okay. In my mind, I totally had something different because, again, so like a lot of people that are watching or listening, I have not seen it. So that's why my face was like, what? Oh, wow. Okay, that's not what I thought of when I looked at it. It actually, and it's funny, looking at the box, it almost has like a retro kind of vibe to it. It made me think of like this. It had that feeling of familiarity. This looks like a game maybe I played back in the day. I don't know if that was intentional.
Yes, I think that was intentional from Pandasaurus Games. They wanted to have that classical feel to it,
right?
But bringing a good perspective, different perspective, a new perspective to what a classic game can be. Because as a designer, I like to explore areas when it comes to three-dimensional perspectives. I'm an engineer by trade.
Oh, fantastic!
So that's what I do for a living when it comes to doing my designs and road construction and that kind of stuff. And it opens up a lot of possibilities on how players can think, and it doesn't really add that much complexity to it. The gameplay is very simple. You just, on your turn, you take out a flag, so you can see the flags there on the background.
At the back there, yeah.
Yeah, so the flags are actually used to block specific placements from other players.
Ooh.
So it has that whole aspect to it as well. So you take out a flag and just place 3 cubes in a line. However, when you've got a 3-dimensional plane, those cubes can just wrap around or go over certain cubes, and it's about figuring out how that works to your advantage.
Right.
And of course, at the end, placing the flag back so you can protect some of your investment on how you've been controlling that bigger cube.
And the pieces, do they click in, slide in? Like, what's the mechanism to put them in?
So like you were saying, they are similar to Lego pieces in a sense, because there's just like a 1 cube Lego piece with 1 peg sticking out.
Oh, okay.
So you're connecting, and the other sides of the little cubes have holes in them. So you're always connecting one side, and then every other cube you can connect to that other cube from any different point of view.
Okay, I'm actually really excited. I had seen it, and I just didn't know much about it. So now that you've told me, I'm like, I feel this is very interesting. And as a teacher, this is something I would love to kind of find a way to insert it in the classroom. I mean, now kind of more difficult, but...
Yeah, but a lot of families are looking for something to do together while they're in quarantine.
Right.
And this is definitely that kind of game that can fill that time. Again, it's just 20 minutes. And of course, having that shorter game, that opens it up to having multiple plays. Because it's the kind of game that you may get a little addicted to it if you play it once. Many people just getting it as something that it looks interesting, let's try it out. And people will be very surprised of how fun this game is.
I love the feeling of chunky pieces or just, fun pieces all together, or anything that's dimensional, 3-dimensional. I'm excited. So I know a lot of people will be in that boat as well.
For it being my first game, I'm definitely very excited to have a game out in Target and just people to experience it.
Julio, thank you so much for joining us for this fun chat. We're very excited to see this and more coming out from you. So thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me, Mandy. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Amazing. So I'm Mandy Hutchins signing off. Until later. Bye.
What an awesome way to get this show started. Ctrl is out now at Target and your FLGS for $24.95. Next up, we've got to talk about the world's first flick and write, Sonora.
Hello, everyone. This is Mandy Hutchinson here, doing some Gen Con videos for Pandasaurus. We've had a slew of guests, and we have more awesome guests. So today I'm here with Robert Newton. Hello, Robert.
Hello.
Do you prefer Rob or Robert?
I'm usually going by Rob these days.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm so used to saying the full name until someone tells me, nope, you can call me.
I respond to both.
Okay, good to know. Good to know for all of us. I see something in the background there. Sonora. Woo. So I also have one, which you can't see in my background. I have not had a chance to crack it open yet with COVID. I'm having a hard time getting games played. Suzanne is actually going to show me how to play this game virtually. We're going to figure it out. She's got a copy. I have a copy. We're going to try and do it. I don't know much about the game. I talked to Molly and Nathan, and they mentioned dexterity. And I was like, okay, that makes me nervous. But then they talked about some other things where it's kind of like dexterity roll and write. I don't know. Maybe I just misheard that. But tell me about Sonora.
That is exactly what it is.
Oh,
it's dexterity plus a roll and write. So, and then the other thing you just mentioned, I got a review on Board Game Geek yesterday that's like my favorite review, because they said, I don't normally like dexterity games, but I'll make an exception here because... Yeah, that's kind of what I was going for. I wrote this like design diary that was talking about game mechanics that don't really belong together.
Right.
And someone had said dexterity and area control. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll take that as a challenge. And that's kind of the idea that sparked everything for making Sonora. Mm-hmm. So it's got the very standard roll and write style gameplay on the board, but then the dexterity game is a little bit closer to Crokinole.
Right, right. I think we heard something. I think was it Nathan and Nate wanted to. There was a name that was suggested, something that involved Crokinole. I don't know if you heard it. I try to remember what it is. Crokinole. Anyway, it was interesting, but Sonora definitely has a bit more appeal to me. I love the art on the box as well. Is that tying into the theme at all with the game?
I would say overall the theme is pretty abstract. It's very, like, the art, I love it. It's amazing. I don't know how they found the artist for the game, but Tom did such a great job. It looks so vibrant, and yeah, I love the way it looks. The way that the game is kind of broken down is that there are 4 different, like, zones. So in the desert, we've got, like, the canyons, and then, like, there's cliff dwellings, the riverbed, and the desert, like, area is sort of broken up that way. And then the board is broken up in similar ways. So there are 4 different mini games.
Right.
So when you're flicking a disc into the board, you can end up in any of those 4 zones, and then you can take the value on that disc, 1 through 5, and you can use it. You can spend those points in each of the puzzles on your board.
Okay.
Or on your score sheet, sorry.
Right.
And so, yeah, the theme mostly just helps you remember what each of the zones are, and how you can kind of spend your points, I guess.
Yeah, and that's totally fine. I'm one of those people, I tie into things to remember other things, you know what I mean? So something like that would be great for someone like me. I love that.
So there's been this trend in the last couple of years that have been like roll and writes. Like everyone wants to play Ganz schön clever, or let's see, Welcome to is another gigantic one from the last few years. And I feel like the trend has not entirely passed, but a lot of publishers are like, we're not really looking for roll and writes anymore.
Right.
But I think if you can do something that's really different, you can kind of still maintain the interest that players have in the genre. And especially there are people who are just like really big on roll and writes. Suzanne.
Yeah, exactly, right? We all were thinking it. So yes, exactly. And I know she spoke very highly of this, so I'm really excited to play it as well. I'm definitely looking forward to playing it. Is there any demos of this at all? I know a lot of games are on Tabletop Simulator or Tabletopia. Is this one that has been put into that format, or is there any intention of doing that?
I don't know what the plans are, but I do know that Eric Yurko and Suzanne were brave enough to play it remotely with like this camera setup. And yeah,
that was the setup we had. And then I'm like, you're sharing our setup with others. That's okay. It was for a good cause. We'll cross our fingers if it happens. If not, hopefully we can get our hands on it if we're able to play it virtually, as Suzanne has done. Or I think this one can play solo, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. There is a solo mode that I developed to antagonize players the same way that if you had someone else sitting at the table would. So they're going to be blocking you. They're going to be preventing you from getting some of the things that you want by sort of getting in your way.
I love it. And I'm not even a solo player, and I have to tell you, I am tempted to try this solo. I mean, in our current state, it's hard to play games, and if I can get something solo and something like that that's, gets me frustrated because I'm really bad at dexterity games, I'm willing to give it a shot. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us about Sonora. So
absolutely.
Is there anywhere that people can find you or get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I am at CoinFlip Games on Twitter. I have many other social media things, but if you want to actually hear from me, I'm pretty much going to be on Twitter.
Okay, that's a good place to be. Lots of people. So this is Mandy Hutchinson signing off for now. And thank you so much, Rob, for this wonderful interview. So check out Sonora if you haven't had a chance, everyone.
Get your fingers ready because Sonora is out now at your FLGS for $29.99. Now I know we're all here for some games. I know I am. Let's take a breather to let everything digest. You'll need plenty of room for what else we got in store. Let's find out how Pandasaurus came to be, and also the burning question of why the logo change. Oh, I need to know.
So hi, I'm Mandy Hutchinson. You also know me from the Dice Tower to Die For games, but today, actually, for GenCon, I will be with Pandasaurus in this video. So we are here with...
So I'm Molly Wardlaw. I'm a co-owner.
I'm Nathan. I'm the other co-owner. We're all so it's, co-owned.
It's all good. So I have a question before we start. I know I see you at conventions. I don't know if everybody actually knows who you are. Do you know what I mean? Like, you see me, I've got my pink hair, you see me online, but I know Molly, we met I think we met in the bathroom. I feel like, or we had a very good conversation in a bathroom.
We are based in Austin, Texas. We've kind of been around. We started Pandasaurus in 2012.
Okay.
It was definitely a side project. I wouldn't call it a side project. It was like a weird thing that we just decided to do because Kickstarters were really taking off at the time, and we just kind of thought, okay, let's try this. Maybe we could get a little bit of money to help pay for our wedding, like a couple of grand or something.
I know you were, but I feel like it exploded for you, like in the past little while. Am I wrong about that? Like, if I am, totally fine.
I would say probably in the last 3 years. So, like, as a company, it was very much part-time. Our first game ever was Tammany Hall, which was a little bit. And from there, it became, okay, Kickstarter here, Kickstarter there.
Yeah.
My background was music journalism. Nathan actually worked in finance in New York. And, Machi happened, Machi Koro happened. And that kind of took us to a different level. We did want to find games that were very outside of the box, were very inclusive. Art is incredibly important to us as a company, and so that as kind of an ethos is probably what I would say about Pandasaurus.
Yeah.
It's great to see that you're also doing things that are in Target. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's really accessible for, well, maybe not us Canadians, because Target's not a thing here, but
we got some stuff in Best Buy, which I think is like a bigger thing in Canada.
Whoa. Rewind. You have things in Best Buy? Why am I just finding out about this now? Seriously?
Canada, yeah.
The Mind is in Best Buy Canada, or it was. I don't know for sure, because we're
not there.
We're like a level removed from that, but we know it got there.
I have a Best Buy card, and I'm always on Best Buy. So, really? Okay, no, I can't be the only one surprised about this. So, no, that is amazing for people watching. I feel like we need that, that rainbow with the star, the more you know, that just comes across the screen, because that's just so new for me right now. Random question. As you can see behind me, we have the Pandasaurus logo, and I know there's some orange. This is one I think that was just a transparent one that I had. What prompted that change?
So our logo was made in 2012 very hastily for the.
And it's so his name was Wakely.
Yes,
Wakely is at a nice farm for retired Pandasauruses. He's just hanging out, eating some bamboo. Really talented. It's a really nice illustration.
Yeah,
and it looks good digitally. It looks good, like really blown up, but like on a box.
Yeah.
I'll just grab.
Yeah, because I think the one I have is rounded. Is that the actual legitimate logo, or is it?
It's one of them. So like, this is the old logo, and you can kind of like.
Oh yeah.
But it's very hard to see.
Yeah, it's okay. We'll try and pop that up here so we can see it.
Right. Yeah. So pretty much the constant feedback we were getting is that nobody could see our logo on any of our boxes. The main thing, and then beyond that was that people know of the Mind, they know of Dinosaur Island, or they know of Machikoro, but they don't know about Pandasaurus. So we worked with a branding agency. They're really brilliant in Austin, called Hobbs Workshop, and the entire idea was to elevate Pandasaurus as a brand. So that's what the new guy behind you kind of is about. He's bright, he's colorful, he's accessible. People want to hang out with that guy.
Okay, that's good, because I didn't know the whole story. So
we reached out to them, so it's kind of weird. They do a lot of ear companies.
Oh, interesting.
And the reason we reach out to them is, like, in a lot of spaces, like, the corporate logo is the packaging, right? But in the board game space, like, you really want beautiful cover art to be the star of the show, but you also want your logo to, like, unobtrusively be there, but be attractive and stick out.
No, it's great. I'm glad I know it, because sometimes you see these logo changes and you're like, okay, was it just because? And it makes sense what you're saying. So, see, there you go. Everyone watching, now you also know the story.
Aw, that's nice. But this is GenCon, so bring on the new games. This Pandasaurus favorite is getting a fresh coat of paint, and she looks good. Let's find out more.
Yeah, we'll talk about the next game coming out. This is coming out September. This was also going to be a GenCon release, but we kind of gave it a little bit more space. We're reprinting Tammany Hall.
Oh, I've been hearing about this. So, okay, I have never played Tammany Hall. Ooh, I know, because it looks like it's a game that's like right up my alley. So, can you give us a quick little snippet of what it's about?
Yeah, so this is one of the top area control games. I think that people kind of just say that. it's one of the more corrupt times in American political history. So the entire game is actually about deep political corruption.
Oh wow. Okay, so it has an element that's like hits real life a little bit.
Yeah,
for sure. So, and obviously the election is coming up. But yeah, we mentioned area control. One of the bigger things is bidding as well. And so the bidding really takes on, it's like a completely different component in this game because it is talking, it's manipulation, it's you kind of start to move into that element of, vote stealing and different people against each other. So
so historically, Tammany Hall was sort of like the Democratic Party machine, which not modern Democratic, it's the whole thing, but it was the Democratic machine in New York City. Okay. They existed up through the 50s and 60s until they finally kind of got broken up. But in the 1800s, they were run by this guy, Boss Tweed. If you've seen Gangs of New York, he shows up in it. He's a corrupt politician. And so the Tammany, as all these immigrants were showing up to New York in the 1800s up through the 1900s, they'd show up to, well, first they showed up to Lower Manhattan and then eventually Ellis Island, and they didn't know anybody. They didn't really know where to go. So the Tammany Hall machine would sort of help them out. They would set up housing, maybe hook them up with a job, and in exchange for that, they would tell you how they wanted you to vote in upcoming elections. And it, started out, a little bit like, well, we're going to help these people out and they'll scratch our back and it'll be a nice thing. And then eventually sort of just turned into out and out corruption. Boss Tweed wound up in jail.
Right.
When the Brooklyn Bridge got built, is some history, sorry, I could go on all day. But you wound up pocketing the equivalent of 40% of the construction costs, literally. Wow. So it's an interesting time. So on the game really enacts that really well. So what's going to happen is immigrant groups will be coming to Manhattan, and on your turn, you can send some ward bosses out to the different wards, which is just sections of Manhattan. And for the ward bosses you have there, you're going to be able to drum up some votes for you because they're out there kind of getting out the vote, probably more aggressively than you would want somebody to get out the vote. But they're there to help you get votes, get people to the polls. Or you help an immigrant locate to part of the city, and you're going to basically move them into that area, and you're going to get a political favor from that population group. So it's the Irish, Germans, Italians, and English immigrants. Okay. And during the elections, Molly mentioned blind bidding. As you go ward by ward, you're going to hold elections in a row, and you're going to get one basically for every ward boss you have in an area. So if Molly's got 2 and I've got 1, you can then call in political favors of the different immigrant groups as long as that group lives in that ward. So if I've got a bunch of Irish favors, but there's no Irish immigrants living in one of the wards, I can't call in a favor from the Irish population because they're not there. But so there's a lot of manipulation, and like Molly mentioned, you can move people out of their homes into different wards if you no longer want that immigrant group living in the city. And it's just sort of a very realistic look at kind of what was going on at that point in American history.
It's almost viscerally thematic, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Of the games that I've played, I love Tammany Hall. I think even after all these years, it's one of our favorite games. But that's precisely why, you just really, really get into it, which makes it just ridiculous to play.
Lots of negotiation, and the coolest part about the game is becoming mayor gets you 3 victory points, which you're the mayor, you get 3 points. Yeah. But you actually have to then, as the mayor, kind of buy off your political opponents, which is a very what happens in this sort of corrupt system is when everyone's corrupt, you kind of have to well, now I have to keep you from turning on me in some sort of negative way. And so the mayor actually has to give jobs in the local municipality out to the other players.
Right.
So the mayor has no real power other than some victory points, but you have to give out a precinct chairman, and the precinct chairman has the ability to lock a district so that no one can move in or out of it.
Right.
The chief of police can literally arrest an immigrant, which
oh no, well,
good. Don't do that in real life.
No.
It's the sort of things that were happening at the time, and so it's kind of this interesting dichotomy of I won the election, but now I have to give all of my rivals power in the game, in power in real life, that they can then use against me in the next election cycle. So it's kind of got this cyclical, do you really want to be mayor early on? Do you want to kind of like do well, but continue to amass power and then like go for it at the end of the game? It's got a lot of layers of strategy. I will note, like, obviously, when you're talking about like the historic context of Tammany Hall, it is something that happened. It's realistic. It's obviously troubling and is not the way you want a democracy to run. We are making a donation to the Brennan Center for Justice for voting rights, modern America, because it doesn't happen exactly the same way, but obviously access to voting is not necessarily equal. And
because this is a re-implementation, I'm assuming, of just new art.
Yes.
Like, is what's different in the box?
Right. So our phenomenal graphic designer, Steve-O, went through and updated all of the art. So everything was shiny and beautiful. Steve-O Torres, yes.
No, but you designed it.
I know people are right now probably thinking of the Jackass guy, right?
Oh, right, Steve-O or whatever. I don't know his whole name, but yeah.
Steve-O from Jackass is definitely our graphic designer.
Yeah, so he just updated everything. He actually even went and found original cartoons, political cartoons day, and went through and made them gorgeous. He's great.
Yeah.
We also have new minis if you want to share those.
Oh, wow, okay.
Kind of updated a lot of stuff. So little bowler hat meeples, so cute.
Oh, cool! They're so cute.
And we have some cool heat transfer on.
Oh, nice.
These are the various.
Yeah. I'm excited.
The Tammany Hall reprint will be out on September 16th for $49.95. Okay, we've been covering some really big, epic games, but there's also some sweet small box games coming out in October too, and they definitely deserve to be on your radar. First up, we've got the 2 to 5 player super fast, streamline the game quick and easy. Next up, the 2020 Kinderspiel nominee of Time and Speed, Robots, will be zooming to your table for 2 to 6 players. Lastly, 2 to 4 players draft to build the most beautiful Zen garden in Ohanami. Get all these games in October at your FLGS for $14.95. Next, there's a new game that's out of this world.
This is a game that we
are not publishing.
We're not publishing.
But
did it in conjunction with Buffalo Games.
Oh, cool.
So this is a cool NASA game, which is official. It's actually an official NASA game.
Oh, it is? Oh, wow. Okay.
So this is actually coming out in Target.
Probably should be available
really
now.
Soon. I think everything in Target is setting at the end of July.
And yeah, this is a game that we did some consulting work with them on. This is designed by Sarah Addison and Jonathan Gilmore. Sarah is the nicest person. This is her first published design. Mm-hmm. It is a phenomenal game.
Really good.
It is it's going for like a combination of like Pandemic meets Mysterium.
Oh, cool.
So there's like one player is like playing Houston, like their mission control, and everybody else is on the mission. And communication is somewhat limited because it like takes a long time for information to get back and forth. So you have these like warning lights that you can kind of clip on because you can tell if systems are breaking.
Yeah.
They're like off just like trying to get to the moon. And so you're having to communicate to them like what to do.
So it's super suspenseful, kind of feels like a movie as you're playing it. But yeah, it's a cool game. We're really excited about that.
This is like, it's the dumbest thing. So it has a 2 mission starter pack. I'm not going to tell you what the box looks like in the opening experience. That it's really cool. But like, oh my God, the missions actually come in. So there's 2 mission packs in the main box.
So
they come in freeze-dried pouches!
Oh my goodness. Can I tell you that stuff is actually really tasty in real life?
Super cool. Like, it's actually got a lot of, like, it's so shiny, but it's got a lot of, like,
cool
information about, like, the history of, like, NASA and the space race. So, yeah, that's one to keep an eye on. It's not a Pandasaurus game, but we did consulting work on it and helped with the design and the, production of the game. And that's at Target now from our friends at Buffalo Games, who also make good puzzles.
Very cool. I like the art, and everyone is gonna give me, Mandy, I thought you don't like space games. Well, like, doesn't mean I can't appreciate the art and where it's going. I might like this one. So yes, this is one I may have to investigate further. It looks very fun.
All right, we've got something big coming up next. Gotta hurry and find out.
Hey everyone, we are back with another Gen Con video with Pandasaurus. If you don't already, you're tired of seeing me, I'm Mandy Hutchinson. You may have seen me on the Dice Tower in my own channel, To Die For Games. I have a slew of guests today, not just one, not just two, three guests, okay? So, and some I'm meeting for the first time. So we have Marissa Missoura, did I say that correctly?
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. David McGregor and Brian Lewis. Welcome. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hi.
So I know that I'm assuming you're on a vacation or you're away from everything. I'm so sorry that we're pulling you in
Yeah.
for.
All good.
I'm honestly shocked that this is working so well because we have no Wi-Fi. This is purely cellular. And we're up on Lake Superior, which is pretty remote Michigan right now.
Gorgeous.
And so it's beautiful. We just got on the lake, but I'm just hoping this works.
No, I'm very jealous. I mean, I live in like a wooded area, so when I go away, it's like, well, I'm at home. So I think it's fantastic that you're able to get away and have a bit of relaxing time, especially in today's climate. What about you, Brian? Are you at home? Are you on vacation? I see games behind you.
I'm in my office right now. I'm lucky enough to work from home, so this is my office, which is board games and then stuff you can't see, which is supplies.
So what game are we talking about with you all today?
We are talking about two games, actually, that are being announced for the first time right here.
Oh, exclusive!
The first one, I'll let Dave and Marissa say the first one.
I assume you're talking about the Dinosaur Island Roll and Write, or Roar and Write, as we've been referring to.
Okay, whoa. Dinosaur, I have to say this. Dinosaur Island Roll and Write, just so you know, I have all the Dinosaur Island stuff, and P.S., anybody watching, I backed it. I backed it all. So.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that.
I'm very excited. Okay, I'm sorry. I interrupted. Okay, go ahead. Very excited.
So, yeah, I mean, we just have been working for this one for some time, trying to adapt the Dinosaur Island world into a roll and write or roar and write, as we've kind of, been calling it throughout the prototyping phases. And this one, we were lucky in so much as we had it at GenCon, and we've got to play test in person and really work with some, people and get some great ideas. And yeah, I setting out, I think our plan was we really love the combos of guns and these other kind of roll and writes where I always say it's like a pachinko machine or a pinball machine where just things are bouncing around all the time. But we also wanted the engine building and that the park does something. And so yeah, it's a combination of those two where you're getting bonuses and building a park, and then the park is activating. You're having guests arrive. So I think it taps into a lot of what Dinosaur Island does in a smaller package while still kind of stinky,
Yeah. Totally thinky. I mean, there's a lot of good, hard choices to be made, but it's still really fun and fast moving, and you're not sitting down for a long time, like waiting for people because you all get to play at sort of the same time.
Yeah,
so it's good.
Right. The one that you have now, is it in, would you say it's a lighter roll and write, or does it fall into more of that medium range for weight?
Go ahead, Brian. Or you're gonna...
Well, I was going to say, I think it is a little bit more of a medium weight range. We tried to integrate sort of a worker placement aspect with it too, to elevate it and make it a little bit more thinky, a little bit more challenging.
Yeah, those painful choices,
Yes, whichever. Yeah. I personally love that. So I think that a lot of people who like the kind of Dinosaur Island series, this is definitely something I think they could pull out in a different setting.
I think it's definitely a medium weight roll and write. Like Dave and Marissa said, we've got the worker placement element. We've got the combos. But the one thing that's I think also a little bit different is that there is a actual park grid on the board, and you are actually placing elements into the park within the rules of how to place these shapes.
Right.
So there's like a tetramino type of element to it, puzzle element to it, which I think is really fun.
Yeah, so you're actually drawing like the physical buildings. They all have different shapes, and then they provide a function as well. It was fun. It's just been fun putting it together, and the feedback from everyone has been positive and super helpful. And but it was a fun project. I don't know. It was just a fun puzzle to crack. The whole how can we take? And I know a lot of designers are doing that.
Sure.
But how do you take this huge Dinosaur Island experience and get it into maybe
45 minutes.
and dice, a pad of paper, and I don't know. We're pretty proud of it, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, 45 minutes is. I was just talking to Suzanne actually the other day about this because for those watching, Suzanne is, and she's going to hate that I'm saying this, the queen of the roll and write. Okay, she loves her roll and write. So I'm surprised she didn't tell me about this one first, actually. And we were just saying how a lot of the ones that we've been seeing lately are hitting that 45-minute mark versus your 15-20. And I know for myself, I'm I like heavy games. Doesn't mean I don't play lighter games, but when I see a roll and write that's like saying it's about 45 minutes, I'm like, ooh, you know what, I might like this. It's going to be a bit more thinky than the average, which I like. So I think that's wonderful. And Brian, what have you been up to now that we've seen the roll and write? What have you been up to?
Well, so this is the second part of this, the second announcement. So not just the Dinosaur Island Roar and Write, we are also announcing right now for the first time a new game based in the Dinosaur Island world called Dinosaur Island or Dinosaur World.
Wait a second. I think I know where this is going. Okay, keep going.
So Dinosaur World is a standalone game in the Dinosaur Island universe that basically it's I don't like to call it a sequel, but that's the way I always think of it, because Jurassic Park had Jurassic
right.
Jurassic World kind of thing. And so this is more of a really running your park. This really delves into the actual running of the park. So that's what we've been working on. That again, that's Marissa and Dave. We were working on the Roar and Write, and we were talking about Dinosaur Island, and we just started spouting these ideas out. And it wouldn't be cool if we did this, and wouldn't it be cool if we did that? And then we're just like, well, let's just do it. Let's just start working on something. And we did. And we would this was before the pandemic, hit us. So we were getting together a lot and just bouncing ideas and testing things. And Dinosaur World is what came out of that.
Are dice still a big element in using those? Can you tell?
They are. They are.
When you started talking about it, it reminded me, I love Jurassic Park, the movies, and I know this is not Jurassic Park. Disclaimer here.
Legally distinct.
Yes, exactly. But I do, it felt like and if I'm totally off in left field, please tell me. The art, it reminded me of the 80s a little bit. I grew up in the 80s. I love the bright colors. And then when you talk about the Dinosaur World, it's kind of like in the future, kind of, what's happening now. So is it in the same kind of time setting, or is it supposed to be future or even further in the past?
I think so I've seen more of the art for the game than I think Dave and Marissa have.
Sure.
This takes place a little bit further in the future, not a huge amount of time. You still got some really nice, vibrant colors, but not as 80s focused on this one. And there's definitely a different scale when you're looking at your at your boards. So the park phase we're talking about is hexes. So you're building your park in hexes. And the art on those really kind of shows that park-like atmosphere with buildings and stuff like that. So it's going to be a really nice difference between the two worlds.
Right.
That people will definitely be able to see a difference.
Okay, and yeah, I'm hardcore, so that's why I had to ask that question, because there are other people who want to ask.
And I'm just going to say, when you see these covers, you are just going to fall out of your seat. Quan Chai did such an amazing job on these covers, and maybe afterwards, Mandy, if you want, I can send you a quick little preview, because they're not completely done, but they are inked and amazing.
Oh, yeah. I love Quan Chai Moria. So for people who don't know, Quan Chai Moria did the art on the previous editions. I don't know if he did them in conjunction with anyone, or was it just Quan Chai?
Quan Chai did just. He did the covers and the specialists in the dinosaurs in the game.
Okay.
But not like the buildings.
Not the building stuff. Yeah, just exactly. So for anybody who doesn't know his work, you need to check it out. If you really liked Dinosaur World, even if it wasn't your thing, but you can see the use of the color and everything, you need to check out some of the other stuff he's done. So I'm very excited. And yes, I will take you up on that offer. Okay.
Yeah, I do want to input here just
Sure, please.
so there isn't any confusion. The Dinosaur Island Roar and Write, those can be used with the previous Dinosaur Island games.
Right.
But Dinosaur World will not be compatible.
Right.
So just so
That's
there's
a
no
separate
confusion.
thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
That's why we tried to keep the Dinosaur Island name on the Roll and Write, or Roar and Write, as to kind of keep that one banner. And then what happens with Dinosaur World? Again, there's ideas. We're coming up with ideas we think are really interesting, but we'll kind of see how it goes.
Okay, so what you're telling me is there's something for everyone.
Yes.
Okay.
Always.
I like that.
So I'll say, for if you want more information on these upcoming titles, you can follow Pandasaurus Games on Instagram. You can also follow me if you want on Instagram at Brian Lewis Games. And because I do post pictures occasionally about updates and things like that, I've been posting some hint pictures in the past about play tests and prototypes and stuff like that. So just if you're interested in that, you can follow those people.
Thank you so much for that. And David and Marissa, where can we find you or get in touch with you or get more information? I know Brian's given some of his sites. What about you? Or do you have any?
Yeah, I mean, sure. You could follow my Instagram. It's David A. McGregor. It's just my name. I predominantly post board game stuff on there anyway. And so, that's it, And
you could find me at Instagram as well, at Marissa Whitney. And mostly board games or cats or tacos, because those are my three things.
I love it.
Same.
That's so fun.
Now, all three, can we get a picture of all three together for your Instagram?
I'll
Yeah.
work on
Okay.
it.
yeah.
All right.
When I get
That
home.
would actually be very fun.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. I hope everyone enjoyed it and got a few fun little treats and snippets and goodies in there
Yeah.
that you can look forward to. And enjoy your Gen Con. And thanks, Marissa, David, Brian, for joining us. And thanks to all of you. So see you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Oh, I need them. Both Dinosaur Island Roar and Write and Dinosaur World will be available soon. All right, that's our show.
But wait, there's one more thing.
This is God's Love Dinosaurs. So this is a game
Oh,
for Lop. He's the designer of Magic Maze.
cool. Oh, okay.
Yes. So this is a few steps more difficult than Magic Maze. So it's not
Azul,
it's not a
weight
kid's
class, it's
game,
right
but
around there.
It's a family weight game.
Yeah, in God's Love Dinosaurs, which was the working title that just it grew on us, and it was so ridiculous that we kept.
Forrest likes to do stuff like that.
Listen, it's great.
On your turn, you're going to be drafting kind of tiles, kind of a little bit like Domino-esque, like King Domino-esque. You're going to be drafting tiles, and there's 3 different biomes in the game, which is like forest, field, and pond, and they all match with these cute little animals that you're trying to expand. So like the cute little rat meat, they like being in the forest, and little bunny rabbits, they like being in the field, and then
There's so many.
little frogs like the pond.
Oh, I love that.
Well, it gets dark. It's gonna get dark.
Okay. I like dark, but yes. Okay.
So what you're trying to do is expand the biomes, and there's a neat thing. So this board is going to be filled with the tiles, and you'll notice down here they all correspond to different animals. So when a column empties, that animal is going to activate, and so all of your those cute little animals I showed you, if there's free space in the biome they like that's adjacent to a current meeple, they'll make a little baby, and you'll get more, and you're going to be growing your ecosystem. There are, however, also tigers and eagles.
Oh, cool.
They'll also activate.
So cute.
Also very cute. They like to eat herbivores at the bottom of the food chain, and when they activate, if they don't eat, they'll die off. So you need to make sure that you've got enough of the bottom level of the ecosystem to support these guys. And then the name is God's Love Dinosaurs, which means there are some dinosaurs.
Of course.
And dinosaurs have to eat when the dinosaur activates. He has to eat to survive. If he eats a carnivore, so the eagle or the tiger, he'll generate an egg, and an egg is points at the end of the game. So basically, at the end of the game, dinosaurs. I didn't bring the eggs.
I was going to say, I was looking, wait, what are the eggs look like?
Here,
I'm dying to see the egg.
failure. But Yeah, so it's kind of the feeling of a resource management game, but you're managing an entire food chain ecosystem. So we actually have called this, it's called on the box, it's a strategy game of food chain hierarchy.
Here's some eggs.
So,
love it.
so it's very tight, and it's very, very fun. So you're throughout the game just trying to make sure that your preys aren't going extinct because you have to end up having enough delicious predator food to survive. So it's our little first player marker.
Cool.
What I like about the game, there's a lot of stuff, but like you don't want to collapse any part of your ecosystem, so you have to be like kind of restrained. Like you don't want to let your tiger go eat all of your frogs, because when the frogs activate later and you don't have any, you're not going to spawn any new ones.
Right.
The tiles, so like different tiles will have like the biomes, but they'll also tell you what like they may come with an animal.
Oh, I see.
So that's how you get some new ones. But what's really neat is again, imagination time. There'll be tiles here all over the board on these spots. And so, like, if this column ever goes empty, it's going to activate the frogs. So sometimes you're drafting a tile because you want what's on the tile. Like, it may have an animal you want. It may have, like, a biome you really need.
Right.
Sometimes you're drafting a tile because you want to activate. And so sometimes you take tiles that, like, maybe it's not the tile you want. But, like, if I'm looking over and, like, Molly does tigers and I've got tigers, I may want to activate the tiger column so that, like, little rage drafting can definitely happen in the game. So it's kind of got that, you know, there's different levels you can play the game on. So if you're playing it with a family, you could really focus on what you're doing. If you're not playing with a family, like you're playing with like gamers or people who are more competitive, you could do that Azul thing where like you make someone take a lot of tiles they can't place. And so it's got those levels to it where you can play it, you know, casual, pretty friendly, and it's a tight experience. It's fun. Or you can like do the Carcassonne thing and go break everyone's castles up by like just making the walls impossible to close.
I love because
don't play Carcassonne.
It is a very tight, fun strategy game, but it's also like irreverent and ridiculous, which is so Pandasaurus. And that's one of the reasons we wanted to keep the title Gods Love Dinosaurs, because the game, there's so much levity to it when you're playing it. It's just absurd. Like you're going around crunching different prey and like yelling at each other, and it's just a really good time.
Is it geared toward a particular group, or is it just an overarching anyone can play?
I would say older kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I would say like if this is exactly like if Sagrada and Azul are exactly in the weight class of the game. Like,
okay.
Like 10-year-olds could probably
play it. But like gamers are also going to get a lot out of it. So it's going to be in that, you know, open the night with it, close the night with it. If you're doing a game night, play it with your friends that don't play as many games, play with your family. Right in that kind of that weight class that a lot of those sort of gateway plus games operate in. It comes with like, I'm not going to like do the Tom thing and drop everything.
Yes, please don't. It actually hurts my soul.
Like the amount of wood in this game is like,
oh wow, a little bit.
Yeah, it's got a lot. And
right, and that's the regular version. You know how sometimes people have a deluxe, and is that?
Yeah, this is the regular. Comes this way.
This is exciting. There's so much. I know you always come out with a lot at the conventions. I was expecting like 3 or 4. I didn't realize it was going to be so much. I think it's awesome.
You know, we made a concerted effort to kind of try to put out as many games that were so we had some like bigger games that we moved off to next year, just because the price is higher. We're also really trying to focus on something like, obviously with everything going on with the pandemic, which is much more serious than board games.
Right.
We're trying to put out a lot of games that you can play this year with your families, you know, where you don't have to rely on necessarily having your game group get together.
Gods Love Dinosaurs will be shaking your ecosystem on October 21st at your FLGS for $39.95. Okay, now I think we're done here. Thanks so much for watching and being a part of this event. Be sure to check out the Pandasaurus Games, Godspeed, and Tammany Hall over on Tabletoptopia. Hope y'all have a great GenCon online.